G'day, this is Peter Anthony with Master Influence, and today we're talking about value propositions, and particularly value propositions as they apply in complex long-term sales environments where there's multiple decision makers, opinion leaders, stakeholders, and how do you go about really developing and delivering a highly persuasive value proposition in a challenging, complex sales environment. Well, the first step is to think about the value proposition as a blueprint rather than thinking about developing a value proposition towards the end of the cycle, the end of the sales cycle, when you're ready to present it to the customers. It's a much smarter way of selling is to think about this as a blueprint, something that you're preparing in advance and then constructing as the sale proceeds. So when we're thinking about a blueprint, what are we building? Well, we're not building a bridge or a tunnel, unless you happen to be in engineering. What we are building here is we're building a story. We're building a highly persuasive story and looking for a story structure, if you like, that is very transferable to the customer and something that they can stay very strongly engaged with. What sort of story are we developing? Well, we're developing a story in two parts. The first part is a sales story, and the second part or parts are value stories. So let's look at those now. Well, the first part is the sales story, and as you can see here, the sales story has four parts. The first part is the customer's motivation. What is it about the customer's environment that's motivating them to need anything in the first place? The second is the consequences of that particular motivation. What is it about that particular environment which is requiring what it is that you are potentially offering to them? The third part is how you can uniquely assist. And the fourth part is what evidence that you have that this particular benefit or outcome will happen. Now, when you think about this sales story, you can think about it as being almost an executive summary, which is what it would be when you're presenting a proposal or writing a tender document, for example. It's that executive summary, the first thing in the document, which is your sales pitch or your sales story for the complete solution you're offering, and it needs to appeal to all of those decision makers, particularly the most senior of those. So what's the second part of the value proposition? That's the value story, or value stories if you like, because while you've got one sales story that we just discussed, you could have multiple value stories depending upon how many different aspects of the particular recommendation that you need to address. As you can see here, the model we're recommending is called FIBRE. Now, the F stands for features. What are the individual aspects of the solution? The I is the impact, how that particular aspect works. The benefit is the immediate tangible benefit to the customer. The E is for evidence, which is what proof you have that that benefit claim will be delivered. And the results are the longer term outcome for the customer, which would link back to the original motivation and consequences we talked about in our sales story. Now, when you think about those in advance as your blueprint, your sales story and your value story as your blueprints, you're constructing a story for that particular customer in this particular proposal, which has the true ingredients of a highly successful value proposition, which means it's unique to you, it's valuable to them, and hard to replicate by a competitor. And when you think about what is truly unique to you, what you're really doing here is you're demonstrating a unique understanding of the customer and the environment, which is the number one thing the customer is looking for from you in a value proposition.